Hi everyone, it's Keira and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the Russian Grand Prix tail end race review. So we have just seen the Russian Grand Prix and it wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst, it was okay. We had a lot of incidents at the start of the race, which I was very much expecting. Turn 2 at Russia is just, it always causes a scene and it did today. So today I'm going to be talking to you about like 2 or 3 points which I picked up from the race and also my predictions that I made last week in Mugello. I actually feel like I didn't do too bad this week with my predictions, so keep watching to find out what those were. I also filmed Backseat Driver today with Veloce, so that'll be out on their channel in the next couple of days. I will leave their link in the description box. But yeah, let's just get on into the video. And first I'm going to talk about the 2 retirements. Okay, so lap 1 was okay, it was going well. I did, expect there was going to be an issue that we had in turn 2 because, you're going so fast around turn 1. Shush. You're going around so quickly in turn 1 and then all of a sudden you just come to turn 2 and you've all just got to get round turn 2 and turn 3 and it's not that easy, and they proved it today with Carlos Sainz. Let's just talk about Carlos for a minute. So when I first saw him crash, I was like, what's going on here? Like, what have you done? There must have been a big incident. Did you get hit by somebody else? I definitely saw him go off into the runoff area, so I was like, how have you done that? Like, was it like a Nikita Mazepin and who was that last year? Was it Nobuharu Matsushita? I think it might have been in F2 last year. But it wasn't. He took way too much speed going through the runoff area, and then you have to go through like the polystyrene, and just went straight into the wall. And I shouldn't have laughed at it, but it is too tight. I've said throughout the whole weekend, it is too tight there. I feel like they need to give a little bit more leeway and it's too close to the wall. And, Carlos did prove it today in the Grand Prix that it's just too tight. You can't physically turn your car. You watch his onboard, he is literally pretty much full lock right. You can't get round that bollard, especially at the speeds a Formula 1 car is going, without hitting that wall. And unfortunately, Carlos was, the victim of that. And it was a little bit funny because there wasn't actually like an incident. He literally just plummeted himself into the wall. That really, really did not help Lando Norris. So it was not a very good day for McLaren, but what can we do about it? So Carlos was the first retirement, and the second one was literally a couple of corners later, and that was Lance Stroll at turn 4. Now, when I first saw it, you just see him kind of going off into the wall. You're thinking, how have you just spun yourself? It looked like Sergio Perez from last year at Germany. I'm thinking, hang on, how have you just done that? Someone must have clipped you. Then we were like, is it Charles Leclerc? Is it Pierre Gasly? I'm thinking, Pierre wouldn't have done that. I was like, it must be Charles Leclerc. I know that sounds really bad, but I just thought Pierre just wouldn't do that. And lo and behold, it was Charles Leclerc. It wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. When I first heard it was Charles, I was like, right, he's definitely just completely clipped him and gone out the way, and he was completely his fault. But actually Charles was kind of alongside, well, more alongside Lance than I thought he was. I thought he was like completely behind him, but he got away with that, no further action. I kind of thought he would have got a penalty for that, but apparently the stewards decided it wasn't. Lance was not very happy with it, as you would be if you were in Lance's situation. You wouldn't be happy with the situation. But yeah, Charles Leclerc got away with that, and that was the end to Lance's Russian Grand Prix. So let's just talk a little bit about the little battle we had in the middle of the race while nothing else was going on between Lando Norris, George Russell and Alex Albon. I literally thought I was watching Formula 2 in 2018. Like, it brought back so many memories. Like, I didn't care whether they were fighting for like the last 3 positions on the grid. It was just so nice to see them all battling together again. And George Russell, oh my God, I don't think people were talking about this. So we've had George Russell in a Williams ahead of Alex Albon and Lando Norris, and he was holding them so well. One time they came out of the final corner, so it was Lando, then George, and then Alex. Lando obviously didn't have the DRS, but George got it and Alex picked it up. And George just went, like absolutely went around turn 1 up into turn 2. Alex, I don't know how his Red Bull couldn't follow, but it didn't. And George Russell got around both of them. Like, oh my God. It was a move. It would have been the move of the race, but nobody was talking about it. I was literally the only one that was actually so hyped about this. Like, it was amazing. So it was just amazing to see them 3 battle with each other. There was also an incident, I think, where it was, I want to say Pierre rather than George, was it? Or something of the sort. And it was just so good to see more of like the midfield battle in the race rather than just watching that top teams. It was actually quite nice to see like the back end of the midfield, even though Lando and Alex aren't normally there, but it was just nice to see more of those guys. When we were seeing the Alphas and the Hasses, it was so nice to see more of their battles that we wouldn't normally see. So obviously I think I probably have to touch on the Hamilton incident. it was very weird. When I first saw it, I was like, why do you even want to do a start from there? Like, why have you just done that? Mercedes shouldn't have said yes, because they probably should have known that that wasn't the place that you could go to, but apparently they said that it was, but I don't think it was. It was a very weird place to do it. So unfortunately Lewis did get 2 5-second penalties. I don't know why there was 2 infringements, because he only done 1 thing wrong. So 2 was a little bit harsh. I'm not really sure exactly why, but I'm sure the stewards actually have, you know, this is that, this is that, this is what you done wrong here, this is what you done wrong here. So there obviously is, you know, a reason why he got 2, but a little bit harsh. But it created some good racing, kind of, you know, it created a little bit of like excitement, but at the end of the day Lewis still came up into 3rd very quickly. Like 1 minute he was 10th, then I looked again, I was sitting here filming for Vlogche and I saw him 10th, and then I don't know what I done, but it felt like 5 seconds later he was up into P5. So unfortunately it didn't really create any sort of entertainment. Another couple of performances I want to shout out is Checo, because I think he done really well and nobody was talking about the fact that he done really well. And also I think Esteban Ocon got really done over. I think he pitted way too early and everybody overcut him. I don't know whether he was trying to do an undercut, I don't know what Renault were trying to do at all, but he should have been ahead of Daniel and Charles Leclerc, and he wasn't. So that was really unfortunate for Esteban, because he could have got a really good result today. Don't know what Renault were playing at, but something didn't click. But yeah, overall the race was okay. Really, it was okay. I don't think it was as bad as Spain, but nothing is as bad as Spain. But I mean, it wasn't the best. I think without the start incidents, it would have been quite bad. Okay, so moving on to predictions now. I made my predictions for the Russian Grand Prix back in Mugello, and some of them were okay. I'll talk you through them. So for qualifying, I predicted that Valtteri Bottas would get pole position, Lewis Hamilton would be P2, and Sergio Perez would get P3. Now, I wasn't quite right in that. It was actually Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen that split the Mercedes, and Valtteri Bottas in P3. I was just probably thinking of, you know, the track being so good for Mercedes that, you know, it is literally a Mercedes 2019, what the racing point is. So that's kind of what I thought there, but Max Verstappen did amazing. Like, I was so happy that he split the Mercedes in qualifying, because it was just like, there was actually a different grid other than Hamilton and Bottas. Like, I was really happy. So for the race, I said Valtteri Bottas to win, Hamilton to come P2, and Max Verstappen to come P3. And honestly, that probably would have happened if Lewis didn't get, well, no, it probably wouldn't have happened. Lewis would have won, but it would have been a Mercedes 1-2. But it wasn't. It was Valtteri Bottas who won, Max Verstappen P2, and Hamilton P3. I am really happy with Valtteri. I knew he's so good around Sochi, and I kind of knew he was going to do well. So I am very happy that he has done well. It's nice to see someone different win. I like Lewis Hamilton, but it's such a breath of fresh air when somebody else wins. So hopefully Max can win a race soon, or maybe even somebody else again out of the top teams who can win a race soon, because I don't know how many more times I can watch Lewis Hamilton on the top step, to be completely honest with you. For fastest lap, I said Lance Stroll. I kind of thought that he, you know, in that Mercedes, well, not the Mercedes, in the 2019 Mercedes, basically, would have done a little bit better, but he crashed in the first lap. So it was actually Valtteri Bottas. Crofty started saying something about George Russell maybe taking it away from him. I was like, Crofty, I do love the enthusiasm, but he's in a Williams. You know, he may have put his softs on, but he's still in the Williams. So it did go to Valtteri Bottas. To retire first, I said Kimi Raikkonen. Don't know why, but it was actually Carlos Sainz. So my driver of the day, I actually voted for Sergio Perez. He wasn't even in the top 3 of the votes, but I thought he'd done really well, and I feel like people did not give him the credit that he deserved today. Completely held on to that P4, was very dominant. None of the Renaults or the Ferraris or anybody caught up to him. For the German Grand Prix, my predictions are that for qualifying, it's going to be Lewis Hamilton in P1, Max Verstappen in P2, and Daniel Ricciardo in P3. Not sure why, don't really know where Valtteri's gone, but just have a feeling that something else could happen. I haven't actually looked at the track layout. I can't really remember it off the top of my head, so I don't know what cars it's going to suit and who it isn't, but I've just got a bit of a mixture there. For the race, I've said Lewis Hamilton to win, Valtteri Bottas to come P2, so obviously he's came back out of wherever I thought he went to, and Daniel Ricciardo P3. Just hoping he gets that podium this year, because that Renault is really picking up some pace, and I really think that they could get there. For fastest lap, I've also said Daniel. He's probably just going to be on a run and maybe get P3, and then also an extra point for fastest lap. And to retire first, I've said Kimi again. Don't know why, not sure why at all. Maybe after his, you know, record of being the driver with doing the most races that he may just think, I don't want to do this one. I don't know. So anyway, that is it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below for more. But yeah, overall, wasn't the best race, but it's Russia. What did we expect? And we also didn't get a Formula 2 race today. We got about 5 laps in, and also Formula 3 is no longer a thing in 2020. So the race weekends are slowly, you know, calming down. We've now got a week off as well. So 2020 is nearly over. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and I will see you again soon for a brand new video. Goodbye.